Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. This is Geek Out 105, Magus, Book 2 in the Apocosmos series by Dimitrios Gkirgkiris. Sorry for last name there. But, yeah, definitely a great addition to the series, and I think you've done it, Dimitri. Normally book 2 is a lot of stories have a very weak book 2, but for this one I probably say I enjoyed book 2 more than I did book 1. Yeah, primarily because this one was all combat, all go go go, and yeah, book 1 dealt a bit more with world development and economics. Yeah, coming to enjoy more of the economics just because it, is, yeah, playing more and more a part in my life. But, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Book 2 definitely starts to pick up more. Was it book 1? We leave off where
Leonardo was captured.
our elf buddy was captured, and we get to go a lot of places in this book. Some books I get kind of discouraged because it's like just one event happens. Yet in this one, we got, like what, 3 different events, 3 different arcs that we have going
I
on?
would say 5,
Okay.
because we rescue Leo, and then we start the quest, and the quest has 3 sections, and then we have, I kind of count the guild hall where we get praise for saving the real Leo, I guess, going and I guess saving the real Leo after the 3 sections.
Right.
And then the guild hall and the plane.
Yeah. And we actually
but
have the current
freaking
time and space with our berserker, right?
Yeah,
And it's saying something for you because you really dislike the trope of, oh my goodness, blood, guts, gore, here's all the action, the cool stuff. Now let me tell you how I got here. Right. And
But
then they
he's
roll it
doing
back.
it differently where,
I'm with you.
I'm trying to remember the book. It's not quite the same, but it's almost similar. Hyperion. Hyperion does something different, completely different, but they essentially follow 5 people, and each of them is telling them a chronological story of themselves. Meanwhile, we're still walking through and exploring together as a group. This does it differently, and I'm sure the readability is going to be through the roof because there's a lot of like subtle hints that we're seeing as he's further.
Yes.
And my
Yes.
current notion or theory crafting has to do with the book.
Okay.
And as of now, our plan going forward, sorry, I know spoilers ahead, I'm skipping. This is theory craft time. Um, Current plan by the end of book two is to take the orb that has our nice dragon in it and to go and defeat the other dragon by stuffing him in the orb, having him kill our good dragon. He goes
Right.
off to the afterlife that instead of being in orb purgatory, so to speak. But when that happens, is it still an S rank item? Granted, we're only level 20, and I would
Mm,
expect a book and a half or more to hit close to our 40 that we're sitting in for while the, um, I don't even know what they call them. It's not interlude, but while our main Berserker story is going on. But I could see that affecting the protection from it not being an S rank item. And then, he's making loads of friends in the underworld, so to speak.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I figure that's how he ends up where he is. But there's also a couple, like, it almost seems like he spent a lot more time out and about before he got there. Plus, he's level 40, so there's still
Right.
an opportunity for more.
Right.
But it makes sense for he's holding the book. They want the book. They've got armies. He's a
Right.
single person, but he kind of talks about how, oh, he's lost a lot of friends along the way.
There,
And yeah.
there's definitely a lot of rereadability with the book, especially as we go through, and like it is with a lot of these stories, by the time we get to book three and we go back and re-listen to the series, we'll pick up on more of the foreshadowing and
Or
can
yeah,
really
there's not a whole
appreciate.
lot of connecting points.
Not yet. Like
Yeah.
we're starting to get some breadcrumbs right now, but not a whole lot. I really appreciate how the different plots are starting to fill out in this book, and the pacing for me was really on it. Um, we've talked a bit about the characters when we did the first Geek Out on this. Geek Out number 86 was book one. And we actually were fortunate enough to have Dimitrios chime in. And um, like a lot of times, characters just kind of fall into those stereotypical roles, but all of our main characters are kind of having their own struggles. And Demetrius um, talks about it. He left a comment on our previous Geek Out, and he said, quote, "I'm trying to address a few issues such as pushing people away with Alex, not living up to expectations people set for you with Leo, and shouldering much more responsibilities and guilt that you should have to with Rory." Um, and then yeah, he goes on to say a lot of other nice things in the comment as well. But we really get to see that journey with all those characters a little bit further in this book too, right? Because with
Or
the
well, yeah,
quest,
that's the whole reason we pick up the fake Leo is because
mm,
Alex doesn't really, he's oh become very disconnected from his fellow man, so to speak,
from
because of what
everybody,
happened to his I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think it was
like
wife. Maybe it was.
uh, his woman,
Yeah.
whatever title you want to put in front of that. I mean, he's the berserker, so um but you're right. Like Leo in the first book was his previous call, which was several years ago. I forget the exact number, but it
It
was
was like 3 years.
yeah, somewhere around when his woman passed away. And we get to learn more about that tragic backstory. and the guilt he carries with it. Um, as well as like when he goes on the quest with his corgi bro, um, they all kind of have to face it, right? Like with the Sphinx, with Rory, as well as the last part of the quest with Alex, getting to relive all that.
Yeah.
Leo, we get to see more and more of his family, and we always gush over how much we enjoy reading and all the benefits of it, but
Oh
it's a
man,
lot
I wish I
easier to
pulled
like.
that quote with the
Which
old
one?
man in the
Mm-hmm.
night sphere where he's like there's like three good parts there, but if I can remember correctly, it is show me a person who doesn't like stories and I will show you a fool. And then the other one is oh it's like continue to add pages to your book as they're leaving. And then he also goes on a philosophy bit with every story is different, even if it's the same story being told again, so to speak, and
Mm-hmm.
how it's different if you heard it a year before or if you're hearing it now versus if you hear it a year later. And then
100%.
Louis makes a comment about the oh, even if it's a recording, and he's like, yep, it's going to be different. And that's where I enjoy reading because it kind of separates you from it being personal and helps you empathize and critically think situations.
It,
But yeah, I definitely need to pull that one.
yeah. Add that to the list of epic quotes to get on TikTok. Um, there's so much to take apart with each one of those quotes, and I'm already losing all the different threads there. But like talking about continuing to add pages to your story, I've talked about it all the time. Like whenever a big new shift happens, a move, a new job, going to a new school is kind of just like a different chapter in your life, right?
Yeah.
Reflect on it, learn from it, do better. Um, nobody likes it when the hero continues to fall into the same um, quicksand or trap or um, yeah, don't step in the shit. Um, and then yeah, so
Uh,
much to take apart from each one of those quotes.
and I enjoy just like the progression because the very beginning we're going back to his original apartment, and I enjoyed the mechanic, which we see in book one, of the dungeon that's like inside normal space or the cosmos space, but then it's like multi-layered. And I definitely enjoyed the trap layer where Rory, sticks his feet in the paint and follows footsteps kind of deal. I thought that was
Hmm.
pretty well done.
Yeah, this book did a really good job kind of bringing in some of the world building and the lore, as well as just some good game mechanics where we get to see our main character from day one getting into the Apocosmos, to like actually going on these mini adventures, right? At the very first book, when he's sitting around the campfire and telling these stories, and he's like, let me list off all my lofty titles and accomplishments and et cetera, et cetera. I ain't no spy. Like, here's my story. And we later get to see kind of the developments in quote unquote real time with the dwarf Doctori and everything. Is like, hey, you're giving people hope. Like they're seeing your story, they're going around. It's unifying us. Like we're becoming um stronger together instead of just the isolated little rebellions, right? And so much happened in the second one, right? Because like they list off a lot of those titles, and it kind of gives us that checklist. Are we going to get to see it? At the end, we know we're going off to quote unquote slay a dragon.
Yeah.
We know the king he's met and how he goes from, hey, I just need to get enough money to pay my medical bills and maybe enough money to move away, to, oh, I just need enough money to bond my corgi bro to me, to, you know what, Rory, I'm coming out of myself, and you're a friend, you look after us, like he saved our bacon, pun intended, by coming on just all these adventures with us, right?
Oh yeah. I guess that's my only real, like, they wouldn't have been able to do it without him, but at the same time, they took that into account.
Sure,
So when
sure. Yeah, whenever you get your party formed and you get ready to go, like you got to factor it in. Hey, you tank.
Or well,
Oh,
not just that, just like they knew they were punching above their weight because they get
sure.
to the dungeon and it's higher level than they are, but to balance it out, yeah.
Sometimes you have to kite it. Sometimes you have to, use some tactics. So first read through, and every author's a little bit different. Like some of them will just slap you in the face with it. Some of them will come out and tell you it. Others like are really subtle hints. And um, we talked a bit about how Alex hasn't really been connecting with other people or interacting much with other people besides a little bit of FaceTime he gets at his programming job. But like first read through with Leo, was it pretty obvious from the get-go for
Like
you?
I I I noticed the literary devices, how other people noticed things that were odd,
Mm-hmm.
but it played it off very well, where it also fit inside with how Alex felt towards people.
Right.
And that was my biggest, like, that was honestly my favorite part of the book. And I keep wanting to say mimic, and it's not a mimic, but um, yeah. So that moment was well done, was
Mm-hmm.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. There were hints along the way,
I
and a lot of the personality was what was throwing me off.
there were definitely
But
some like
yeah,
big flags, but I think you hit on a
it
key
was an
point there.
element
Like,
that wasn't. In theory, I should have known that that could have been a factor just because of it being a urban lit RPG where literally everything that's seeped into our lore is an aspect of it
right,
or is a story
right.
of a real event. So it was a maybe or could be, but it was very well written and yeah.
I think you articulated it really well, and we've talked about it in previous streams where it's like, um, it really doesn't matter like what happens or how they do it, but does it pass the sniff check, right? Like, does it feel right? And I feel that the author, like you said, even though some of the things with Leo were pretty much like slap you in the face, the way it was written, coming from his perspective, you can
Oh
kind of relate
yeah.
back to it with like, well,
It
thinking
matched
about it,
up.
like, go ahead.
It matched up with Alex, and you get to see him like as soon as they get him back, he's like, "Oh well, I'll steer the conversation with Rory," and then Leo or not Leo, Louis like, "Oh, he's acting weird," and then
Hmm.
Rory's like, "Oh, what? It's difficult to be a friend," and it just like each of them
Rory's
puts in
also
their.
pretty antisocial himself too. So like, whereas it's easier the outside
Or
looking in to be
well,
like, hey, this
he
is
doesn't have as close with Leo as well because
that's
it's the
true.
business aspect, so it's more so with Alex.
Hmm. He knows of the clan, but doesn't know Leo as much as Alex knows Leo. yet not as much as the clan. They're
So they did
I
have
almost
their
say
initial dungeon dive.
true. I enjoy how they incorporate dungeon elements into it. Because this was our first kind of like what's the genre? Urban
LitRPG.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, I'm sure some other books we've read would fall into that category, but it's kind of like, okay, you know, parallel worlds, how's this going to work? And yet we still get a lot of the traditional D&D or lit RPG mechanics, right? Like the dungeons, the classes, the levels, the stats, the weapon grades, and how all that works.
Oh man,
auction house mechanics.
I have blown up so many weapons and trinkets and stuff, and like I'm glad the mechanics are there.
Quotes
but
out of context.
That is probably
Peter
why
said.
I disliked the economics of the first one, because I was the person who I enjoyed the combat more, or the PvE PvP elements more.
Yeah,
than
but
the economics.
when you logged
and
in
then I
on a
got
new
there,
character,
and
who
when it
sent you the
wasn't
bags?
when it wasn't as simple as, oh, you hit this level, you saved up, buy your epic mount, and it turned into a never-ending get the higher gear, do all this extra stuff to upgrade the gear. I ran down a couple slots of gear because I risked it all and didn't have backups. So
yeah,
I'm better about it now. Now I know to have a backup. And sometimes you just save more and buy it as it's already complete.
And in other examples of how video games have taught Peter how to, you know, set yourselves up for success, now you travel around in your mount, and your backup is that crazy jump device you showed me, where it's one part could be charge your telephone, or it could jump your car. Right?
Oh, yeah. Now, yeah. The backup battery jumpstart boost thing. Yeah, now I have a bag
he learned it
of all the
when he
tools.
could still have a res and just walk back if need be. And now in real life, he's rocking all the crazy tech backups.
Yeah, but that was more, oh, I want to say the first leg of Louis' quest, where it's always sunny. Yeah. And it's like cold, and they're sitting in the cave, and they're like, all right, next time we pack everything.
Yep. I mean, come on. If you had spatial dimension bags, you better believe I would be a Jason, where I would have my ladder, I would have my rope, I would have, like, gosh, that was one of the best things about cargo pants, right? You could just like keep your book in one pocket and all your other, you know, things in another pocket. And
Well, that, except for I broke my belt recently, which is irrelevant.
oh no. Hey,
My
keep
belt,
it
it's
PG.
broken.
I think it's like oh gosh.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed the progression.
Did you
I
enjoy
enjoyed.
the Disney references?
I probably
Like
missed it.
when Alex rolls in, and we pretty much have like the Mufasa scene where there's a bunch of like
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is what Simba must have felt like. And then when Rory brings out his pipe and starts smoking it, and it's like, we just almost died in the saddest, animated film thing. Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
References we can get. Yeah. Good times. Good times. I'm excited for book 3 because Rory's on the cover of book 3.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we
and
get to
we
go
know,
deal with his dragon and his origin story.
well, as well
Um,
as all three, we get Lori, or not, we get Louis, um, Leonardo's, and Alex's second or class quest.
Let it be known there are times when we can get every name just
And
like
there's
that.
only
Like,
four, so
and they're pretty, not all of them, but relatively Western. A little bit easier for
though
us.
I also am excited for our edition that is
What?
completely out of left field,
Oh,
where
yeah.
we had her wife infiltrate our
Dude.
team and pose as our buddy, but then she sacrificed herself to save her wife, and her wife is mourning, yet is also a loose cannon who's like, is there any better way to die than, fighting a dragon?
Heck
And Rory being
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm gonna get my place
Yeah.
back. And then also Rory with his Fellowship of the Ring pun there, where everyone's
Y-
like, yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I'm going. He's like, oh, Alex, I guess you're going too, because we're just such a
Yeah.
great fellowship, and you want to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, like, that's what makes Rory such a solid guy. He didn't, he knew it was a suicide mission. Like, Leo's family straight up, like his dad leans in. He's like, there are better ways to die, more or less. Like,
Or
you
no,
guys
he
aren't
said, you are
ready.
weak.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Get
You
some life
guys
insurance
aren't up
or
for
death
this.
insurance.
Better way to prove yourself a man. I don't know. Like, thinking of ways to prove yourself a man, taking on a dragon's pretty high up there. Just saying. Just saying. We finally have our full party.
That and like I'm curious to see how some of the items play out because we got that item during the trial. It's like a bag where you open it and it's supposed to continuously blow for a little while, and then they
Wait,
were supposed
what?
to use it throughout their trial, which they didn't because Louis had the wind spell. I assumed it was supposed to be used during the
Mm,
snow there.
that's
Um,
true.
but we have that, and Alex has a get out of jail free card for the game Floor is Lava because his feet can't go into lava.
Wait,
Um,
what?
and then I'm thinking if we combo it, and that's his beepity beep beep, gotta go fast moment where he's poking the lava, and then he can't fall into the lava and opens the bag, and flying nimbuses out of there. I'm curious to see what happens with all of that because Louis, he doesn't seem like he's getting powered up, but he definitely is more utilitarian at the moment, where his book floats around him instead of having to carry a staff and pull it out and put it back. And then he's also got his like free levitation thing now. And then Rory, who we already knew was, gonna take the front, is now, has a specific slay dragons weapon.
Yes.
And then we never got a recap or an update on Leo's gear. We knew he hit his level 20 and was able to pick it up, but we didn't get a rundown on it.
But at the same time, I don't know. I didn't feel like the stats drop were super heavy in
Or no,
book
I'm
2,
just
but at
interested in the wonky abilities of the items because I think they picked up one where he can like breathe underwater as well.
Mhm.
And it's going to be one of those like panic,
That's
not
definitely
panic.
something you want to
Or
have.
and then in addition, like when we found out it's not a mimic, it's a changeling, maybe.
Sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
when we figure her
Shapeshifter.
out and she takes off all her gear and her stats drop drastically, it's like,
Hmm.
dang, the stats on the equipment really matter.
They do. And one of the comments I wanted to make is we talked about the economics piece, right? Like they're pretty much running an arrow empire, taking over different marketplaces, so on and so forth. But in this book, we really got a better grasp of just like how the equipment works and the scaling,
Hmm.
because you start off like going through where like it's the lower letters like E, D, et cetera, and they did some shopping to upgrade their stuff. So I think it was Louis and Alex went into D grade, and we're
Yeah,
talking the conversion rate several $1 million, right?
yeah, yeah.
And compared to what they're rocking, Rory is already rocking some solid gear,
Well,
right?
yeah, he's had his second class change. And so that was another. It may have been something, it may be nothing, but when we got to the Fairy Queen's realm, I was going to say castle, but and
Goddess.
we find the other fairies who end up taking us to the palace. I think he's like mid 50s, and a lot of the creatures around there, when I think we like inspect the shopkeeper and such,
Mhm,
they're all mid 50s. So I don't I assume you can go higher, and of
mhm.
course you can reach godhood or not.
Right,
Um
right.
but is like high 50, high mid 50s, you know, getting close to endgame ish, because we're in 40s in the interludes or whatnot, or
Mhm.
are we still on the starting realm, so to speak, where we're not in the Cosmere or Cosmos, we're in the upper Cosmos, but we're still like, he keeps talking about that there's a bunch of different ones, and a good
Right,
example that I happen to
right.
remember is when we're talking to our dragon orb guy. I can't remember his name, but how
The Dragon
dragon
Ball.
yes,
The good
um
Dragon Ball.
how dragons hoarding is not just a myth, and some of them dealt in stocks and bonds and
Right,
other things, and
right,
some are like
right.
medieval and hoarding stuff. So I'm we've had a taste of dungeons, and then we had a taste of the guild hall that is essentially a dungeon that is
Well, this
folding space and time
quest
in
kind
different
of
ways.
forced us to get some snapshots of other areas that like potential,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, some potential.
And it was,
And literally everything we ran into, like, we didn't stand a chance, and all
well, like
for
you
different
said, we have
reasons.
everything from like the Neanderthal that, we Airbnb with, paying in a big old bucket
Bucket of
of
chicken and rice.
chicken and rice. Like that is like, this dude's a bachelor, you just travel
Well,
around with a big old
but
bucket of
we
chicken and rice
also,
because that's what you
or no, I
need.
guess that was a different section. Yeah, because we just at the beginning of that one is the giant cows, not cow thingies, and the giant monkey. I was thinking of
Yes,
the
that's
T
constantly
Rex,
growing.
but that was
Hold
before
on,
when
wait,
they're
the
going
what?
up.
The
Yeah, the T
T-Rex?
Rex.
Yeah, with the traveling to the Fairy Queen.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Um, but
And
we
then
have
we,
everything from Neanderthal to high tech, which is what the point I was going to make real quick. And as an ultimate like geek, when you can start mixing sci-fi and fantasy into one Apocosmos, it leaves a lot of
Oh,
potential for some epicness.
that I need to pull that
Like
quote
when
too. It's like I
the
understand
fairy,
how sound works, but I didn't expect to get a science lesson from a fairy where they're normally polar opposites.
yeah, you need to broaden your horizons, Alex. Not be so racist against fairies. They can science stuff too.
I don't know if I would consider that racist, but
I
maybe realmist.
realmist.
Yeah, you're supposed to be from a different realm. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll let that one go. You're right. I should be more open minded and not accuse Alex of being a racist because he didn't expect fairies to be able to science him. But he
Oh man,
learned.
and like there are so many more stories that we need to find out and tell. Like that old guy who we met. I personally
Yes.
didn't catch the reference, but Alex was like, "Oh yeah, I've read his stories. I know this guy." And
Mm-hmm.
then we get another good point that was like just a snippet of potential when we're leveling up the slaves, and that one slave recognizes him, and it's like, Alex,
Yes.
what's going on here? We just defeated the undead, so like that's a progression. And then we also have the how the he's sitting around the fire, and the guy's asking him like, "Oh, you are asleep?" And he remembers the dwarf, and he's like, "Oh, I knew a king who would fall asleep," or and he'd be like, "I'm just resting my eyes." And in my mind, that's not Rory.
Oh, what are you talking about? That's totally Rory.
Oh, I figured once we get in with the dwarf, once we get his kingdom back, we're talking like traitor and being traitors, and we end up talking to other dwarfs and either crush. I figure he makes friends because, okay, it's. Hmm,
I could be wrong, but
I was
like
hoping it
we
was a complete
literally.
addition storyline, but maybe it was Rory because he talks about him dying. And we
Mhm.
haven't killed off a main character yet, so maybe.
Not yet. Not yet. It's
Yeah,
going to come though.
it
I
could
mean,
totally be Rory.
we're finally starting to feel good. We're at the top of the emotional roller coaster. Like we're not at the bottom anymore. We're embracing our
Well, I
bros.
I
A
feel
fellowship is
in the
formed.
middle.
Now, after we go slay some goblins and undead, like somebody's got to take an arrow to the knee, man.
Well, I feel in the middle because, like, if you're talking save Leonardo, get faked out, actually save Leonardo, bind Louis to our soul, and have a plan for freeing Rory from the dragon and claiming his rightful throne. Yes.
I'm
If you
still
talk
waiting to hear
about
about
the other
Louis.
side story where he's actually a barbarian already, or a berserker already, and he's going through telling his story, there's a lot of downs where he talks about all the friends and everybody else who he has lost, as well as like the last time they tried to escape, it was, a bloodbath. And we've got the additional, like, we're
What
bringing
other
the
kind of
other
baths
people
are there?
together.
You taking a different type of bath?
Or it's the realm. They have the Blood River and all that. Yeah. So, in regards to the main secondary story, um,
Real timeline? Pre timeline?
I don't know. It's weirdly unique that I don't. It was probably in there. It was probably like
Space
interlude or something.
space and time. What's that? Psh. Um
Oh, also, we never told the queen about the old man leaving. So I expect to get some blowback. I
That is a
re-listened to it the
good
second time, and
point.
I was like, this old
That is a
man
good
totally was like,
point.
hey, can you do me a favor? And then we were all like, oh, yes,
We
shower
kind of
me with
just
love.
did find out that our bro was no longer saved, right? Like we have to go save him again.
Well, yeah, but
You're
yeah,
right though.
I
Um
don't, unless
forgetting to pass a message along, like you
I
don't
could
want to be the guy
see,
that screws up the telephone game with a goddess. She literally bound. Is that how we lose Louis? Because
well,
like
we
he's
don't
soul
know that
bound
we
now,
lost
but
Louis.
does
We
he?
we assume he's in another place and not doing well.
Oh,
Because when he goes and he's got to
I don't
urinate
know,
and the
man.
guy's
I
there,
haven't
he's
seen the
like, "Oh,
tattoo in real time.
how
We
are
know in
my
the
friends
past he had a
doing?"
tattoo.
And he's like, "Oh, well, I should tell you good news so that you want to help me." And he's like, "If you don't tell me the truth, just don't tell me anything." And he's like, "They're holding on. They're not doing well, but they're holding on."
Mm,
As well as in other
What if
games.
Louis is the zombie, the level one, not level one?
I I think he's got a get out of jail free card because if he dies, he doesn't de-level like the rest of people. He goes into the orb.
But that's what I mean. Like, if he's not actually dead, then he won't go into the orb or into the soul space because he
I
wouldn't be dead.
No,
He would
I
still be
assume he's
alive.
just in a different location.
Okay.
That's what I figured.
Can it be both?
Yes.
Come on. We all know we want to see where Louis is at.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said it had enough combat for you.
Yeah. I mean, literally, hey, we need to go
Tech,
save Leonardo. And dungeon dive into, hey, we saved him. Let's go do our soul bonding quest. Uh,
don't
I guess
forget
we
spooning with
didn't we
Rory on the
didn't
couch in
fight,
between. Like we have some time for some bromance.
and then we didn't fight on the way to the Fairy Queen's place, and we actually, bought a bag that we didn't need, but better come into play. Just thinking, I know book 3 is already out, so you already did your lava scene, but I
Yeah.
would have accepted uh ultimate cheat, Flora's lava, just kidding, flying Nimbus bag away. Um
If you guys don't know, there is a drinking game that whenever you listen to the stream, there's amateur mode that whenever Peter makes a Dragon Ball Z reference, you drink. Anytime he makes a geek, anime, other book reference, you sip because like he can go on some deep dives and we are not about drink water. Yeah. It's important to hydrate. Every time Peter makes a reference, take a sip of your water and we'll help you get your 8 glasses in pretty quick. Yeah, and you can always catch us on the archive. So if like you drink too much water and you need to go use the restroom, if you don't have some cool Bluetooth or don't want to pause it, you can always come back and watch us again, listen to us again. Are we still planning to convert this to
so
a
I
podcast?
guess most of it wasn't combat,
I was
but
about to ask you that. I was about
it
to
was
ask you, do you
more
count it as combat,
expressing and exploring potential realms, and that was very exciting. And
the
then
world
finding
building
the
got you?
nuances of acceptability where we're about to get trampled. Rory, hold
What?
him off. He didn't attack him, but was it acceptable because it wasn't the two doing the
So
quest,
is it
but the others
combat?
were in the party? Um,
who took on a giant ape and saved the injured baby cow.
Yeah, and then we
Um,
also almost got eaten by a T-Rex, and then was it Sphinx?
so how like you read and like your mind eye create stuff. So like that scene there, have you seen the one where like the thing is like an ostrich or something comes running at the lady and she just like
Yeah,
uses the
yeah,
force
force.
to
Yeah,
like that's how I see our fairy whistling in frequencies you can't even hear and understand with the T-Rex that was just like charging at us. Because he pretty much says afterwards, like, yeah, I pretty much just flexed on him. Like all animals speak the language of power. Like
or
he
no, I thought it was everything has a language. Some speak in nouns, some speak in power. Yeah.
yes, well said, well said. Um, yeah. So, what was it? Combat? They really didn't fight the ape
Or
or the
so
giants.
I enjoyed
There
the
was
development
action.
of potential new worlds, and I would say in a MMO sense, yes, because you drew aggro, but in a Highlander sense of there can be only one, we
It's
didn't get
just
any XP because we
it's
didn't
just
kill
that
him.
phase of the raid battle, okay? There's a period where we can just straight out DPS dump and we don't have to worry about pulling aggro. And then there's a phase where you don't step in the lava. And
Or
that's why
well,
it's
I guess
important to get
also back in the day, there's a phase where you jump onto the first block, you turn around, you jump onto the second block, you face the wall, and you hug it all the way across, and you like skip a big section of the maze.
and then everybody claps their hand,
Yeah.
turn 90
Or you get
degrees.
that one guy who falls off, pulls aggro in a random spot, dies, and you're like, do we run forward to burn it and hopefully lose aggro on the guys behind us? Or do
So
we
we're
flip?
just going down the different rabbit holes, but um how amazing is it the fact that common video game geek terms have become part of pop culture where if you say I'm just going to Leroy this,
Oh man, like
people
I
understand.
was there. I am that old. I remember getting someone to be like, watch this video, and the original vanilla WoW guild poll of
People
Leroy
are going to
Jenkins,
understand what
who has
Leroying
been
is without knowing.
immortalized in
Yes.
Hearthstone,
Yes.
and yeah, is
It's one of my
yes.
favorite cards, especially if you need dragons. Like, yeah. Doesn't he summon two dragons?
Oh yeah, yeah, the little whelps.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. They yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was more on the charge mechanic, but yeah. But I was there.
Yep. Yep. Hey,
I
Dad,
wonder how many
why
views that guy has.
it was
In other news, Dimitrio, you should make a playlist. There was less song recommendations from book two.
have
That's okay.
you
As well as there were less
so you're
nerdy
volunteering to put
lore.
together a playlist? Is that what you're saying? You're gonna go back through and write them
I
down?
attempted to start, but some of it's just like, hey, this band. We
Yeah,
only got one of them when we're going up against the bats in the
yeah.
first section of the dungeon.
100%. 100%.
Oh, I not true. Then we did get Diggy Diggy Hole from Rory. Yeah, so we're off to fight a dragon. We have a new addition to the group. The one that I feel hasn't been like fleshed out as much is currently Leonardo, which, okay, we didn't have him for half of this one. We
And it
know
was
his
kind of his
family,
book,
we
right?
know his family is huge, and we also know that we spent some time training at his family's place, and
Hmm.
that I'm sure Alex is going to get a lot of
We did get to
great
meet more
insight.
of his family. His family did get more screen time.
Yeah, but I mean, like Rory, we know he's trying to get his, haul back so he can get back his
Right.
family, and we're gonna get more on that aspect. Alex had his family ran over by a car, and that's, that aspect.
Hmm.
Um, Leonardo, a like we know he's gay with neon colored robes that does magic, but apparently Leo's stronger than him already. We don't know where he's going that way. He's in line for the throne of the guild, but he's not a warrior type. He's a magic type, so there's
Right.
some stuff going on there. Yeah, I don't know.
I
I feel
do.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
he's the one that we didn't get as much development with. The
You're right.
beautiful
We
bait
did
and switch.
miss him for part of the book. But it kind of tied him that much more to the group. Like this was really the party is forming book. Book one, we get
Mm,
introduced to people. Like we're kind of in these situations by circumstances to now we've made the conscious effort to go not slay, capture. Backup plan is slay a dragon.
yeah, and we still have our wild card changeling.
Her wife was pretty solid to have in a fight.
Yeah, and that's where I'm not sure if the current one is crazier or not than the wife, because apparently the
She
one
was
who
the one that was
died
locked up
didn't want
though,
to
right?
kill the trolls or ogres or giants or whatever because she just preferred to blind them instead of taking them out. So our
You
current one
mean
is
the wife on the quest?
the dead one who hates giants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure after they saved the wife, she made a comment that the dead one, I'm sorry, I'm horrible with
Oh,
names, didn't even like fighting giants. She preferred to blind them.
yeah, because it's such
So,
a nice person.
yeah, now
Mm-hmm.
we're dealing with the one who wants
I
to jump down
follow.
their throat and then go
She
all
was locked
Link
up though
Hiya and pull
for
a
a while.
circle move and chop out its throat and bathe in the blood of our enemies. Yep.
I think she'll bring a lot to the party,
Or
keeping it
I'm
spontaneous.
curious if she was supposed to be the healer because the other one was very tanky, or if that was infiltrator mode. Was she swapped her gear to be more so tanky? I don't know. We don't have anything to go off of because we have Rory as a tank. We
Mm-hmm.
have Alex as the melee DPS. We have Leo as the range DPS and support healer. We have Louis, who was supposed to be the buffer, who
Mm-hmm.
does that, has stronger
Louis also
attacks
has
than.
heals.
Yeah, he's. So,
So we really don't need another dedicated healer. And I think Alex is more off tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt he's not coming to
Maybe
his
not on
own, but
Dragon.
he's more
He's only level
damage because he
20-ish.
rocks. Yeah, 2 swords.
Mm-hmm. With our Skrillex haircut and dual wielding swords, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still have 3 people's quests to get their first class to go through. We
Mm-hmm.
get Rory and our changeling to be tourists. Yeah, then we have the oh the magma lava. I couldn't remember which one was which elemental to deal with, but we're not supposed to free it. But we have a dragon who speaks elemental into, you know, not
Right.
fighting a dragon.
So the bad dragon, who we had the debate over different titles, and there can only be one dragon with a name. The
But he may
titles
have
can
changed his
change.
moniker or whatever.
Right, right. Um, he is Frostbase and quote evil, where our Dragon Ball is at
Or
least
that's
speaks elemental, and it's in a volcano, right? Like the mountain, Rory's
yeah.
home.
The Rory they build their homes in a volcano because of
Hmm.
the magma elemental that they use for their forge.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but instead of their unspoken deal of
So they buy
utilizing
3D printers off the Apocosmos. Um, I'm looking forward to them kind of going through the additional power up mode. I feel like the pacing on the level progression has been nice. We actually get to see Alex kind of hone his skills to become the epic um, BA that he is, right?
there's still a disconnect between his storytelling around the campfire,
Oh,
at
it's
least
like
from
20
book
levels
1,
though. Yeah.
where yeah,
And like that's saying a lot too with the way like experience goes. Like
well,
all
yeah, if we've made it this far in one leap, it's going to take a leap and a half, if not 2 to 3
at
leaps
least.
to be
Yeah, yeah.
equivalent. But I could easily see us
Especially if you're doing
planning to
escort
put the
quests.
dragon in the orb, everybody being blown away, and Alex, lava, no lava, flying Nimbus into Meteor Hammer and falls from the sky, managing
Spear
to
bomb
actually slay the dragon and gets all the XP for himself. But that is
and the loot. Don't forget the
not
loot.
as exciting, but could happen. Book three's
What
out,
could go
but not on
wrong?
Audible.
Let's go play with the elemental controlling the volcano. Um what could go wrong?
Yeah, because our Dragon Ball doesn't want to fully free him, nor thinks
Just
that we
buy res
can,
insurance and
or
like
we
it's all
haven't done
good.
that yet either.
Uh,
We didn't tell the Fairy Queen about the old guy leaving.
you know,
We
I
didn't
think
buy our life insurance yet. We
we should
didn't.
get Alex to like expand his staff and pick up a virtual assistant for to help manage the arrow bit, and they
I
could schedule it for him. Get res insurance.
Yeah,
I just thought that was pretty cool. Um,
the res insurance.
yeah, yeah.
I figure it is cool. I do like it. It makes sense, but yeah,
It
your significant other's already dead.
it keeps kind of throwing me off because in a lot of ways, I've read so many different fantasy books where it's easy to kind of fall into that mindset of like, okay, similar worlds, this is how it plays. We're dealing with magic, like, et cetera, et cetera. And then lit RPGs, yeah, there's some of those other elements, but it's
Or this is an
completely,
amalgamation of
yeah,
multiverse of could be
it's
anything.
modernized. It's, hey, we're going to deliver something to you, but we're going to store it somewhere else until like
The
it
correct
recognizes you and
person
it drops
opens
the
it.
key. Yeah, yeah, like it's wait, what? I'm like,
Well,
you
that,
know,
and we got to see a clever manipulation of dark mana, or not dark mana.
Matter.
Oh, whatever they use for whatever they are, essentially. In book one, they get you see stats that make sense to you. This is what the
Mm,
dark stuff, I can't think of the name. And anyway, the point I'm talking about is when we put it on the slaves and it's like a information delay where they level up, but they still show as a level 0 because
mhm.
we manipulated the dark mana magic.
I think it's matter, right? Anyway.
When I hear dark matter, I think Futurama and that little weird extra eye guy monkey thing going around. But it does fuel the ship. Anyway,
I
unique.
could go down a couple other rabbit holes, but we're already hitting the hour marker on the stream, and yes, we'll resist the urge. Um, Nibbler.
Thank you. Yes.
um, it's a lot of fun. Enjoyed the book. Disappointed that it takes a minute for the audiobooks to catch up. But the audio book performance was phenomenal. Really enjoyed it. Um,
Oh man, we still have all of Louis' dog ventures that he was supposed to do right after the
I
quest,
want to
but then we
see
had to
him
save
adopt all the
Leonardo, and
dogs.
then
Yeah.
we have to go free Rory's thing. Yeah.
I feel that Louis as a character has been done pretty well too. Like when he
He
gains
is
sentience,
definitely
like
the yin to Alex's yang.
mhm, mhm. But like even though he's smart and like very human in a lot of ways, there's still
Or
a lot of ways where
relative
he's like just
information.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
still a dog, right? Like what is money? The
Well,
concept of money
dog
and
and
like how to
young
grasp
and
it. And it's like, you know what? Like yeah, that kind of is, would be a challenging concept for somebody who doesn't like use it at all. Like, okay, let's put this in bacon terms, right? And the dog in me is like, bacon? Like all the bacon for all the dogs? Um, yeah, a lot of fun characters.
yeah, and
Super
they're
pumped
kind of
for book
all
3.
living their own life, but
Mhm,
they're kind of all interconnected. And as
mhm.
far as Alex is concerned, like he could continue expanding, buy out other people, yada yada, blah blah blah. But he's losing Rory, and that can be offset or just don't scale. And yeah. But for his stuff, it's still pretty fluid, where he can do anything as long as he has his DM tablet.
Mhm.
And then Leonardo can essentially do whatever as well because, he's just a part of the guild and their backup, but he's
Oh,
not
he's taken care of.
obligated. The only obligation he has, which I'm surprised I expected Leo to not be able to host his D&D night, and for us to have some problems with our steel shipment
I
because
could
of
see
whatever,
that.
whatever. But it didn't happen, and that's okay. Um,
It
moving
was
forward, that's
only a
currently his
handful of
only.
days. Like, they
Was
were
it?
very go, go, go.
Yeah, okay, I get.
Like,
Yeah, but
we
it was
roll
go,
out a
go,
saving to,
go.
like,
But
one
then we were
night.
like, yeah, we saved him, did 3 quests, spent the weeks. Yeah, okay. It could have been done within a week. I'll give you that one.
Because, I mean, even on the quest, there's the night
They get
when
there, they
they
sleep.
get there, and then
They
orientation the
sleep in the
next morning.
first one,
Mhm.
and then
They
they
sleep
don't
with the
sleep through 2 and
Neanderthal.
3,
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. So,
and sleep after 3. So, okay. Yeah. So Alex is pretty fluid. Rory's about to get locked down, rebuilding his stuff. And then Alex is probably going to get caught up in some other scheme where now he's got legit,
he was
dwarves
only
working
doing it
for
to
him.
help. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
He was
yeah, but
ready
at
to
the
walk
same time,
away.
like, yeah, you got your throne back. Looks like you need to refurnish the place. It's kind of been trashed, so on and so forth. So, plus, oh, hey, now that you got all these handy dandy workers, yeah, they're good, so why don't you screen them for my business? Just kidding, arrows are chump change. I'm gonna start doing this extra stuff.
I enjoy it. It's not just a hack and slash book. They also grind out that gold, um, which is fun.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on the book? You got stuff for next week?
I probably have the dates wrong on them because I don't think I had a chance to update them,
Okay.
but I believe I do.
Okay.
Final thoughts on the book. I enjoyed it more than book one due to the economics in book one. Um, I enjoyed it less than book one because there were more nerdy references that I got in book one, as well as like song recommendations that got me in the mood.
Hmm.
Please make a playlist. Um, I will be continuing the series. Book three is out for those who like words. I'll wait for the sweet nothing in my ear. Yeah, we'll
I
be
like
covering it when
words,
the
but
Audible comes out.
finding time to read it is just ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, yeah. So good addition. A lot of potential going forward. Very well done. Yeah. And then so not that day because that is today. So if I do,
So the 5th. Yeah.
sorry, we're getting there. This is our next one, Lux Book 4, in the Reckoner series, which is a standalone. Um, yeah. So concept of the Reckoner series by Brandon Sanderson. It is a young adult. It is shorter, but the idea is, what if or people got superpowers? Just kidding. They're all super villains. So they have superpowers, but they're all evil or, you know, want to become king, so to speak. And it's young adult, but we typically follow a team of people who have had their life completely stomped on and want to make things better for everybody else. Um, yeah, it's a very good addition. It is technically a standalone because it's the Texas Reckoner where the first three are not.
Yeah, we talked to our friend Karen about it, and don't want to put words in our mouth, but we all kind of agreed that it's a standalone, but it's done well in kind of like tying other parts together. Like you get to see and learn some things from the main series about characters that you didn't know before, which is a lot of fun. Um, Solid nod to like the actual Reckoners trilogy, and then this. Um, Excited to finally get around to talking about it with you guys. The date for that is December 5th at 8 p.m. I think we've rescheduled this one a couple times.
Yeah, yeah.
In the Brandon Sanderson fanboy category, I just finished book 3 of Skyward, which is one of the first Geek Outs we did was book 1 from Skyward. And oh my goodness, just like so well done. Hope to get that worked in soon. There's just, gosh, we're almost done with 2021. Probably won't happen until 2022. I think we're booked all the way out through the
I
rest of
think
the
we got a
year.
couple slots at the end here.
Yeah. As always, let us know via social media, Discord, however you want to get a hold of us, links below, what you guys would like us to continue going into 2022. We're starting to do some planning there. Your feedback, book suggestions, always just keep sending those book recommendations our way. Yeah.
Or after Lux, we're gonna go back to Arturian Archive, branch into book 6 here, which that would be
December 12th
December 12th.
at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to keep with the 8 p.m.s all the way through the end of the year.
Just makes it easier to orchestrate other
Yeah.
events in for the day.
Yeah. Busy weekends. Happy holidays to everyone. Hope everyone or those in the West who celebrate Thanksgiving or America, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever your holiday is. Um, I'm super pumped to finally get to book 6 here of this series, Arturian Archives.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he just dropped 9.
Mm-hmm. And Mountaindale Press is pretty good about getting the audiobooks to release around the same time. A
Yeah.
lot of it just
Yeah.
depends on the narrator's schedule.
Yep.
Yeah. Was about to start geeking out on this. I'm like, wait, we're supposed to keep this relatively spoiler free.
Oh, I guess. Yeah. Say something about, how do you pronounce that? Anim? Anima? Anima?
Anima.
Anyway, I have not even started this book yet, but for those of you who don't know, Dakota Kraut is awesome. You could do Arturian Archives by itself, but I would highly recommend publication order. So the Divine Dungeon series comes first, bleeds into the Completionist Chronicles, doubles back for Arturian Archive, then more Completionist Chronicles, and then they've got a Lion's Lineage series starting up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, could be a standalone for Arturian Archives. Is in the Divine Dungeon universe, so I thoroughly enjoy the Divine Dungeon. My favorite thing about the author is the puns for
Mm-hmm.
Dakota Kraut's books and the Easter eggs
Mm-hmm.
where he'll incorporate sections of other books and connect them. Yeah. Oh, and then Wolfman Warlock is in there too, but that's kind of separate, but together. I guess that's only
I
relevant for Completionist Chronicles.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, and really big fan of when some of our favorite authors can do some collaborations, and we find a lot of new authors through the collaborations that they do. So props to you guys on marketing and getting us hooked on more amazing authors in the area. But I'm trying to think of the acronym. It's pretty much like Divine Dungeon Extended Universe. And it's just so the collaboration between the authors there is amazing. The storylines, how they all intertie together are just so much fun. And um, this Geek Out, we pretty much talked about the characters' journeys and how much we enjoy it and how much like people can learn from it. Like Grandpa Sunshine and Love, Artorian Archives, right up there. Um, yeah,
Yep.
you really
And
killed it with that thumbnail, Pete.
yeah, I've been trying to do more incorporation stuff, and I freaking bought a image manipulation software
You
and
know,
music development software and video editing software and other softwares that I dabble. I need to do more, and I might just buy one of those books that I told myself I would never buy, but it's like,
books. You don't
yeah,
read.
it's like taking a whole class, but it's just the book, and in the book is a link to all the all the project files. The
I like
opposite of
it.
what I plan to do is the grind of, yeah, one step at a time. Because I normally am like, I want to do this. I know you're capable. I don't know any of
Uh,
the lingo. I don't know how to word this. Google help. Google help
Google is
better.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Because, yeah, the thing I wanted to do more on this one is I wanted to like feather the outline circle, kind of like he has,
Mm.
but I couldn't freaking figure it out, and it didn't turn out right. So,
And for those who are new, like this is a passion project. We have a lot of fun um, doing this, and really appreciate you guys hanging out with us every Sunday and your support. But the amount of time that goes into doing that, I think the thumbnail is spot on. Something that would have been fun that didn't want to take any editing. You should have brought your hair around front and braided it for the beard because it's long enough. You could probably get his beard there.
I didn't
Uh,
think of that.
yeah,
That makes some sense.
but you're spot on. Spot on. I'm really like the point we're at in book 6 because this one expands over multiple of the other series, right? Between the Divine Dungeon, the Completionist Chronicles. Um,
I don't know. I think even at book 9, they're not into the Completionist Chronicles.
that's true. The in between
Yeah.
for world building junkies like us. Yes, please.
Yep.
More in Divine Dungeon extended universe. Um, yeah, looking forward to it. So many other fun titles coming up. Next couple are going to be lit RPGs. Surprise, surprise. But as I said earlier, keep throwing us those book suggestions. And yeah, looking forward to geeking out with you guys.
Yep. Hope to geek out with you guys here soon. Bye.
Bye.